Good morning. It's 11:11 on the East Coast. I'm George Hudson. Joining with me is Robbie Culbreth. Got a great one today. Choice, power of life. Robbie, how's it going this morning?
Man, I'm doing great, George. I feel great, man. I got a bald head, dude. I cut that skinny, man, and cutting that skinny makes me feel good. But I'm excited about what we getting ready to get down with, man. It's going to be a game changer, I believe, in some people's lives. You know, I've been on different podcasts this week at different times, and I just been moved by, one, the embrace, two, the messaging that's going out, three, their inquiry about Savage Will 1111 and what we're all about. And so, it's growing. Savage Will is going to be a takeover, brother, and it's just going to change the way people view things. And so today's episode is really interesting, man. And I really want everybody to dial into this because I think it is going to be a game changer. Choice is the power of life. That means whatever choice we make, when we make that choice, is going to empower some aspect of your life, certainly aspects of your journey. And so choice being the power of life, I know we touched on I am he, but I am and I will be is born out of that. It's a choice. What are you deciding you want to be? This is a visionary, responsible plan to walk into greatness. The goal for this whole piece is to bring out of you what you want to become, how you're going to see that. You being able to set goals and corresponding standards which are more intentional than any other type of goal you've ever made for your life. It's putting these standards in place to make it more likely that you will reach the goals that you have. And then it's putting into place what your affirmations are going to be about yourself and what you believe about yourself. It's the Savage Will mantra, right? In a sense, because those who are disenfranchised, those that are cast out, they're cast away, those that feel isolated, and they're isolated brilliance everywhere. Those that are nerd united, like me, I'm a nerd undercover. Don't worry about it. Broken people that are enfranchised. This is a Savage Will is about, dealing with these things that make people uncomfortable because they have taken precedence over their lives because they may feel that they don't matter and they matter. And they may not understand that everything that they're doing that they might be discarding because somebody's not validating, it might be their brilliance and it may be their greatness. And this is something that they should not be discarding or getting rid of. Because listen, Napoleon Hill said this thing, all big things are composed of smaller things of a related nature. And so in Savage Will, we're smaller things right now, but we have a related nature because we're trying to get some stuff out of our life so we can get these stuff of life in. And so this is about metal, and this is about that character building place in your life where you're in the crucible of life itself, being crushed by circumstances, and you build and you shape and you mold strength and resolve and commitment to succeed against everything else. Even metal, by the definition, is a person's ability to cope well with difficulties or to face a demanding situation in a spirited and a resilient way. In other words, you've just entered an idea incubator. Savage Will is an idea incubator. It's your ideas that's going to incubate. It's your ideas that's going to get warm, roasty, toasty, and it's going to crack open the eggshell so that you can have life and maybe enjoy it more abundantly. It's going to be you now starting to live without being a spectator. It's going to be you now starting to step into your true power and your ability and to be a friend and to promote and to fund whatever you deem as necessary to become. And to become is the key part. So Savage Will, man, create this thing. This thing is going to hit hard. It's going to cause for you to just rethink what you've been thinking about. So choice of power. Choice is the power of life. This is where we are. George, tell us a little bit about what that means to you, man.
Yeah, it's just a lot of it's about taking ownership, taking power in your actions, taking responsibility for yourself. You mentioned having like a standard with that. If you don't have standard, like this law is in effect, whether you realize it or not, whether you're conscious of your decision-making skills or not, like no decision is also a decision. You're deciding not to act. Like passivity here is not an escape from the responsibility of your
100%.
choice. It's just an ignorance of the awareness that you do have the choice and your choices have an effect on what you're doing, who you are, where you'll end up in life, and that sort of thing. So it's all about again, here's your favorite term, biohacking that reward mechanism to understand that, like, hey, we have that choice. We are responsible for it. Our choices have consequences, whether we like it or not. Every choice, every thought, every feeling, every emotion has an effect on what we do, think, feel, say, all the above. So it's all about becoming conscious of that processing, conscious of that effect, and utilizing it for our benefit. Yes, things do happen. We have emotions, but it's all about responding rather than reacting.
I like that, George. Responding. Go ahead, hit that.
Yeah, man. Having that conscious effort to say, there are some things in my life I can't control, but I'm not going to let them control the direction that I go.
Right on.
We all have situations. We all have things that we're battling. We all have, a reason to be tired and say no. But the choice that we make is, in fact, to act or to not act, to chase our goals or to not chase our goals. So it's all about, taking that ownership, walking the path into being rewarded for our choices instead of being punished for our choices that we don't make.
100%.
But no choice, again, is also a choice.
Dude, this is hot, man. We're on a hot topic right now, right? About power, right? The choice of power is the choice of life. So check this out. And you mentioned about a brain hack. So I see brain hack as an opportunity to brain up and to heart up. So if you look at that picture right there on my wall, man, that's what that thing is all about. You brain hack, right? And you connect that hack to that heart. And then you get that passion, and you do just like you said, George. You start responding instead of reacting because you have a master plan that you're starting to put together, and you'll realize here's part of that awareness sequence that you were talking about. When that idea comes, and when that disappointment happens, and when that lack of comfortability is occurring, that is your entry point. It does not have to feel good. It does not measure to your emotions because it's not intended to measure to your emotions. You have to understand that is the entry point. That's where you are now aware that it is my opportunity. I just stepped into this vessel. I just stepped into this vein. I just stepped into this capsule, and it's telling me it's my time. There are a lot of forms of power. So check this out. There are a lot of forms of power. If you look in the news this week, or you see Robert Sarver, the Suns owner, because of the choices of power, he put himself in a position where he got voted out of the league, basically, and that was because of another source of power. Draymond Green, on his podcast, he demanded that he be put to a vote because of the things that he was doing to people with racial comments for years and misogyny to women for years. And so now they utilize power. They're two different demonstrations of power, but nevertheless.
Bobby, real quick, go ahead and recap the situation a little bit further. Just so if somebody's listening, they don't know what's going on.
Good point. So what happened, the Suns owner supposedly allegedly over the years, has been utilizing a very negative, derogatory racial comments against people of color and very misogynistic comments against women and their position, and been very rude and his delivery, in your face delivery. Of course, as an owner, in your face delivery he can do, but the other two you shouldn't. And so as a consequence, he was brought up on these charges. And then the NBA came in and ruled that they was going to suspend him for a year, and they was going to tack his money. I think it's about $10 million or whatever it was going to be. The actual number, I'm not certain on that. I think it was 10 million though. And so he was prepared and prepared a statement to address his consequences. And that statement wasn't allowed. It wasn't accepted. So power brokers in the league on the women's NBA side and on the men's NBA side were like, no, something needs to be done. But Draymond Green, exercising power, the choice of power, right? He on his broadcast says, no, the NBA must put this to a vote. A decision must be made. We're just not going to let this flow out any kind of way. A decision must be made. And as a consequence of that thrust, and the LeBron James and the Chris Paul, CP3, and some of the others getting behind it, some of the notable NBA women getting behind this piece, man, he got voted out. So he is now in a position where he has to sell the Suns and the WNBA Mercury, right? Because of the proper use of power. Choice of power is our ability to discern the seasons of change and transformation in our lives. You need to write that down. Choice of power is our ability to discern the seasons of change and the transformations in our lives. We see what serves us for right now. And when it no longer serves us, it is incumbent and imperative upon us to remove those things that are no longer serving us out of our lives. Things that cause you pain and angst, because your body model and your mind model and your spirit model is in transition. And you realize, hey, these were necessary to bring me to this point, but now they no longer can serve me and feed me and edify me in any kind of way. Get them out of there. So you, in this same season, just to think about it metaphorically, we're going through fall solstice, right? And that's the time where everything starts to slow down. Harvest season is just finished, right? And so you're starting to let some things rest and or other things die altogether. Our bodies and our psyche is sort of modeled to that as well. So we're supernaturally connected, and we're in a place where things are starting to rest and things are starting to die down, right? And if we operate in our highest frequency, we touch into that God spark, hallelujah, then we look at the spirit and the truth that's speaking to us right now. We now start to take experiences of frustration, experiences of greed, experiences of need, and we start to say, it's time for those things to pass. We're in a season of manifestation, but that manifestation is going to grow out of rest. It's going to grow out of release. And so we've got to embrace this way, this truth, this light, and this life. And we've got to allow for some things to die so that we can have victory. We got to allow some things to live and incubate so that we can have transformation. And I believe that we're in that kind of seasonal change right now. Go ahead, George, light us up.
Yeah, so it's just, you mentioned something earlier, kind of like our emotions and our triggers and the things that, playing off of reacting and not responding and not reacting, rather. And one of the things I've kind of been learning about lately is how our emotions and triggers, like those, are our teachers. And like you said, sometimes we have to let things die. And, in this season of the fall solstice and, the dying down, the taking a break, reevaluating things. I think transitions are really big. Transitions are either an opportunity to spring forward towards our goals or to kind of just, revel back in whatever we're floating around in. So like one example of how emotions and triggers can be our teachers is, if jealousy is one, a lot of people or most people would just say that like jealousy is 100% bad. Like no one should be jealous, that sort of thing. But I think like if you're jealous of somebody for having something, I think that just is a reflection of the things you want in life sometimes. So it's not that you want to be jealous or have that longing for something and then go and take it from that person, but it's more of like a, hey, no, I can go out and get that as well, and there's enough for everyone, and that person is happy with what they have, and I want to experience that, whatever it is, whether it's like a fruitful relationship with a significant other, success in the workplace, just that can be a mirror or a reflection of, hey, maybe like I'm not on the right path, or maybe this is evidence that I desire something more than what I have, and it kind of, you can use it to your benefit and not beat yourself up about desiring to have something that you don't already have, to go out and have the motivation to do it, find your why in that pursuit of it. And as long as you can shift it towards a positive lens, I think that that's something that's fruitful and beneficial. And it's going to allow you to have some more of that satisfaction and joy of the chase, of the discipline, of, that biohacking, that reward mechanism of the dopamine and all those things of that achievement and getting those results. So it's whatever it is that you find yourself like, hey, looking at this person XYZ that has, whatever, you can use that and twist it and be like, no, I'm happy they have it because that means I can have it too. Right. And I have the power of choice to go out and pursue that and, get that as well.
I think I dig that, man. I dig how you coming about with this thing right here. And so I relate that is choice of power is a source of life versus the death response, right? So the life part of what you're saying is I can do this too, and I can have this too, and maybe I can do this better. The death response is who do they think they are? What do they think they're doing? Do they think they're better than somebody else? And so that's the biohack right there, man. And you've got to be able to manage and know where your emotions are to understand what plight or what progress is going to happen based on your response type, right? So I look at some parts of this and I put it back into a scripture perspective because one of the places I look to for growth 100% is in the scriptures. In 1 Corinthians 15:55, it says, where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? The sting of death is sin. And so I understand sin is the missing the mark or the immediate root cause of us missing the mark of elegance, brilliance, extreme actualization, and helping mankind. That's my thought, right? And so if I'm missing the mark of operating inside of my elegance, of operating inside of my illumination, of operating inside of my brilliance, of operating inside of my extreme actualization, that's on me. That's a death statement right there. That's a death and doom. But when it gives life, it's I can do this, I can be, and I shall be. And then it's like what I tell my sons: listen, don't follow the crowd, make the crowds. Listen, be a human highlight, meaning that you're living your life in such a way not to be seen and not to be loud and noisy, but in such a level of achievement that in that level of achievement, people are gravitating to what you're doing, what you're proposing, and they think is the most wonderful experience in the world, and they want that for themselves. Do you understand that? So that's nothing wrong with that. So watch this. And the strength of sin is the law. Law is the legalism, the religion, the traditions, the externalism, the modeling after the gloom and doom that other people have been doing for all their lives that can create eternal punishment. I believe eternal punishment starts within before you even die because you believe you can't, because you believe somebody else got it for some other reason other than the fact that they put their work in. Right. But thanks be to God, which gives us victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. That's that I am he model of truth. And if I operate inside of my I am he model of truth, my I am he model of truth tells me this: I can do all things. I can be anything. Everything is possible for everyone who believes. So then my choice of power says to me, I make this decree and this declaration for my life that I'm going to write out this discipline impact statement for my life. It's my discipline impact statement for my life. I'm going to write it out. I'm going to put standards of achievement in there. I'm going to put those standards of achievement because I must achieve it against the goal. The goal might be somewhat, and if that goal is not bigger than you, if it's not bigger than your resources, if it's not bigger than everybody that touches on your life, as the Lord put in my heart years ago, make no small plans for the Lord. If it's not some gigantic goal that is almost impossible to reach, it ain't big enough. And you've got to make it big enough. And don't give yourself an out with the word easy, because easy has a friend called lazy, and lazy has a friend called sleepy, and they have a friend called excuses. And as a consequence, you may never get to what you deserve, get to what you want, because you don't have your I am he model of truth in operation. George, drop the mic on this next part, baby. Come on, let's do it.
I thought you were about to go full-fledged Seven Dwarfs on me. Lazy, sleepy, dopey, sneezy.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it can make you all those things too, but
hit the mic, baby. That's it.
yeah, it's just kind of got shifted from my point a little bit, but you make a lot of great points. It's about stepping into, having that vision. I think one of the biggest things that gets in the way sometimes for me is like feeling like you have to have it all figured out to move forward, feeling like you have this skill mastered before you step into it. And I spoke with, a very successful business guy, a friend of mine connected me with last weekend. And he was just like, no one ever has it all figured out. And that's kind of like the myth that people buy into is like, well, I don't know how to do that. I can't start it. I don't know anything about that. Well, the people that become successful in business, they see the same thing too. They feel that thought as well. They just move into it. They're like, all right, I don't know what what I'm doing basically, but I'm going to start, right? I'm going to start where I know. I'm going to start asking people. I'm going to have a plan. I'm going to come up with a schedule. I have the choice to do that. And then the people conversely are like, they're choosing just not to pursue it. That excuse is big enough to prevent them from moving forward. So
that's hot, man. That's hot. Hit it, baby.
Yeah.
Hit it.
It's just that I think that's the difference between success and failure. And, success and failure.
George, pick this for 1 second. I dig what you just said. It's the difference between success and failure. There's an underlying statement that I want to drop in here. I want you to get back on what you were saying. Choice of power is knowing right from wrong. I don't care how skewed we've made the lines to be. If we know right from wrong, and if right says I can, and wrong says I won't or I can't, then right says I'm going to step to the plate no matter how uncomfortable it may seem, no matter what parties agree with me or what parties don't. I'm going to jump into this thing because I believe, and I'm going to allow for this to go ahead and manifest and control all of the actions that I'm going to get involved in from this point forward. I'm going to take every action. I'm going to take every step that's right. Even if I get smacked back, it's because I'm doing the right thing. Listen, people, getting smacked back, getting somebody to correct you, getting somebody to say, no, this is the wrong way, doesn't mean that what you're doing is the wrong way. They're giving you a precept and an example for something that you need to do, or they can help you do better. And when we really can distinguish that as a right and wrong, or as a better or worse, or better to better, then we can keep it moving. We can keep it fluid, and we can keep going in the direction of power and of change and of transformation. Watch this. George, you get ready to get on deck, man. Get ready to be on deck. Listen, I looked at something that's just still blowing my mind about power. Think about this. Less than 1/1000% of the people on the planet control 7 billion people. That's absolute power. How in a ham sandwich and buttermilk biscuits did they get the right to do that? They wanted something. And they wanted to be in office where they can make rules and regulations and control masses. They wanted to have businesses that are multi-trillion, multi-billion dollar businesses. They saw it. They saw a no limits workforce in their brain, a no limits a think tank in their brains. And then they started to assemble other people that had no limit thinking, or probably had some limit thinking, but they saw that it was a no limit mindset that was connected in somebody that could carry out that vision. And they're like, I'm going to put my money behind that. Like, there's billionaires out there looking at us right now. They're like, these nutbags right here can influence a lot of people. And these nutbags right here can help a lot of people that want to actualize. And I'm going to give these nutbags right here some gooby dust so they can go ahead and get going and make this thing work. There's some people, George, man, you better drop the mic, dude, because I'm about to run with this, man. I'm about to run, dude. I'm telling you.
I think it's so, like, kind of what I was going for is the difference between success and failure is just whether or not you're going to decide to wake up in the morning and put the boots on, strap them up, and give everything you got to what you're doing. There's obviously the strategy comes into play. Like, if your ladder in life is up against a building that's falling, a building being like a company or a business model that's not going to give you the results you desire in life, that's one thing. But like, once you have your ladder against the right building that is going to give you the results you want in life, it's just a matter of when, not a matter of if. Then, at that point, it's all about effort. Effort is king. Execution is queen. And then it's whether or not you decide to get up and work towards your goals every day. So ultimately, the difference between success and failure is an effort type situation, as long as you have the right business model, right plan, and action. And today it's very, very easy to come up with that. There's so many ways to achieve success in the business world. There's so many resources to achieve success in your relationships. There's so many resources to achieve success in whatever category. If you want to hit a golf ball better, like, there's so many resources just to achieve that.
Let me hit you with something though, George. I want to hit you with something on this because you sounding off and it's right. Here's something I need to drop in here right now. Choice of Power is so keenly aware of identity. So no matter what your master plan is, if you do not completely identify with your master plan, it ain't gonna work. Because then it's gonna be somebody else's plan and somebody else's concept. Watch this. When you can identify with your master plan, which means that you will become what you're writing down, what you're putting your focus on. And this is okay. If you don't come to the place of that type of identity statement, it ain't going to work the way you want it to. Watch this. I'm going to drop a nugget on you. It's a nugget. Listen, this is where I'm at. When the Messiah said, I am he in the scriptures, watch this. He so deeply identified with I am, which is God, who said, I will be, so he became. He was so deeply committed, so deeply devoted, so deeply disciplined to that cause that when people came to him with the torches and the lanterns, the armies and the accusers, when he said, I am he, they fell back under the power of his identity with the one. You got to catch that, man. That's rich. They fell back. They felt what he said, and they were moved by it. For that moment, they believed and they moved, and it moved them. I used to coach. I was coaching some high school kids. And I used to tell those high school kids, I said, make them feel you. In other words, when somebody gets ready to tackle you, when somebody gets ready to block you, when somebody gets ready to put any kind of pressure against you, I've helped you to get your body in such great condition that when you hit them, make them feel you. When you bring that forearm shiver across, when you tackle them, make them feel you. And then get up, stand up, and just kind of look at them like, I'm here all day long, baby. You're going to feel this all day long. That's the problem in work and the life we're living in now. We're not making the world feel our presence. Other people in the world that wants to make you feel them, they're making you feel their presence. They're making you feel their plan. They're making you feel their destiny. They're making you do what they want you to do until you identify keenly with who you are and who you want to be. And then you become I am, whatever that is. And then when you become that, then people start to feel you. People become aware, and they're like, man, this is exactly what I've been looking for. This is exactly what I've been waiting for. Some of you people out there looking on Facebook right now, y'all throw up some of them hand things, man, them thumb things, and throw up some of them heart things, and throw no bubble. Throw that stuff up, baby, because this is where we are right now. This is real talk. George, finish dropping the mic on that point, bro.
Yeah, I think one of the great things, I'm not exactly sure what you said, but it reminded me of my high school coaches.
Make them feel you.
It was about tackling people. So it reminded me of my high school coach, or not even high school, it was my middle school coaches were like some of the most intense coaches I've ever had. And what they said sometimes was they reminded us, like when we're on the field, like they wanted us to play with such fire, such aggression, such just passion that you would make the other team rethink joining the football team.
Right.
You know? And then they would just regret like stepping onto the field and even putting a helmet on or cleats or whatever. And 100%. It's just like, for a long time, I just didn't understand it. I saw that as like an obsession that was unhealthy. You know, to have that for a sport or for a career, for a profession. But I think deep down that was an excuse for me kind of to not have amazing results in my life.
Yep.
Even as a 7th, 8th grader, even through high school, like that was something I was continually processing, and I didn't really understand it until it was too late for like football succession. But in life, I understood it at a relatively early age that like people that achieve greatness and things, like they become obsessed with it, like not in a healthy way. It just becomes their passion. It becomes who they are. They devote everything they have to it. And I think that kind of work ethic, that mentality is pleasing not only to ourselves, but to God, like to why we're here, to the things that we do, to the people around us, to, you know, being who you say you are, to being accountable to your friends, family, others, work, like coworkers, and just being someone that can be relied upon. You know, so, and if you can't rely upon yourself to achieve the things that you say you're going to do, then no one really can rely upon you to do anything else on a consistent basis. Like when people or think about the people in their lives, and when they say, hey, who is the most reliable person you can think of? Like, I want people to think of me when that thought process is in effect. Like, who's the hardest working person you know? Like, immediately I want to be that, and when in people's minds. So it's all about, how do I create that perception of myself, and then how do I, like, that'll bleed into the perception that other people have for me. And
100%.
for me, it's relentlessly pursuing the things that are right in front of me, not being distracted, not and you can be distracted with good things. Like,
Yeah.
there are many great business models out there. There are many great things to be in business and do. But what makes it great is, does it match your gifting? Is it interesting to you? And are you pursuing it with everything you have? Because if you're pursuing two or three things,
Distraction.
haphazardly, then you're distracted. Even
Yeah.
no matter how great that business model is, no matter um, how hungry the
Detailed.
market is for it, no matter how much of a need it is, then if you're distracted with it, you're just not going to be as successful with it, or successful at all with it.
So
So the difference between success and failure is just the idea that you're going to wake up and pursue that one thing with everything you have. And if you're
yeah,
working
yeah,
full time and you're trying to create that one thing, then it's going to take a little extra work there in the beginning. You're going to have
yep.
to be pursuing work in addition to your dream. And once your dream kind of manifests a little bit, you can step into that full time, and that's your deal. Then, you know, then the doors open, the hatch is released. Like, you run after it with everything you have. Um, you know,
Go for it,
so
man. That's the make them feel you mentality right there. Choice is the power of life, and that reveals that what I commit to in discipline, higher standards of achievement, it's going to lead to the higher purpose of what I'm going to use my money for. It's going to cause money to flow my way in order to do the things I want to do. This is going to bring into focus the balance of my choice to be. I will be whatever I have determined I am, and it's going to be your cause. It'll become your purpose. It'll become your personal spiritual awakening and wisdom, and at another level and dimension altogether, where everything is going to collide, and it's going to help you create, and it's going to help you cast the vision that you need to cast. This is like a wide net that's cast for those people that are trapped, to get snatched out of the noise of mind and flesh trafficking by those fossilized word concepts and constraints. And that's constraints that's caused them to not have enough demand on their discipline, not have enough intention, thought, action, and speech, study on the discipline that they want, not have that experience. This whole work right here is about having that experience. Savage Will is here just to, the focus is to cause us to get unlocked, unhinged, untethered, untrapped, right, from the mind and from the soul and the intellect and the physical trappings that come along with not having that experience. No one wants to be an onlooker of their own goal and not be able to achieve it. That's called frustration. You have a goal that you placed out, you've put a plan behind it, but you don't have the will to put the work in it so you can see the outcome of it. And all you do is see the writing. All you see is that you wrote down, and it never comes to pass. That's hard. That's a heck of a lesson to tell you that you're not moving in your vision and in your planning and in your discipline to fulfill your
I'm
hopes
gonna
and
hit on
dreams.
that real quick, Robbie.
Get it, man.
Like, that disappointment, it can show up as different ways. Sometimes it shows up as like anger towards other people, because
There it
sometimes
is.
we don't correctly analyze ourselves in our own situations. Sometimes that anger or that disappointment, sometimes it'll characterize as what I was talking about as the jealousy, and then we go
Yep.
down the path of, they don't deserve that. They didn't work
Yep.
hard for that. They didn't do what it's their fault that I don't have it. It's the man's fault that I don't have it. It's the woman's fault that I don't have it. It was the woman you gave me that the reason I don't have it.
Yeah.
It's and then all these excuses and all this blame game starts to surface, that none of it's like truthful, none of it's justified, because you're not evaluating your life in realistic terms. The realistic terms you have to evaluate if you want to be successful, you want to be a savage will thinker, you want to
Tones.
elevate your game, is evaluating your own decision making, taking ownership. I am not where I want to be because it is my choices that have led me to where I am. Whether
Choice.
whether that's your choices feeding through your influence that you've allowed to speak into your life. So yes, you might have someone influencing you to do stuff that's not beneficial, but you gave them that ownership. You know, for
Exactly.
kids that still live with their parents and it's not a fruitful situation, that's kind of a difficult situation too. Is that at some point though you have to break apart from the mold of like what your parents are teaching you if it's not fruitful, not beneficial, not a great environment, and then step into like, hey, this is the part of growing up, is taking ownership of your actions. And some people still haven't grown up and they're 40, 50, 60, 70 years old because they don't take ownership of their actions, and they just kind of have been floating on through life, and the gears haven't clicked, the light hasn't turned on, something's happened to where, you know, they're just kind of aimlessly wandering, aimlessly doing what they've been told, you know. So, but for the people that want to break free, that we are actively trying to do and talking to, is that you have to take ownership and then making good choices. And when I say good, I mean like choices that you want to make. Like we all do things that we say we shouldn't do. Like the phrase that comes to mind is "do as I say, not as I do." And
Yeah.
you hear that all the time and you're like, what the heck does that mean? You don't hold true to your beliefs, your morals, your
Oh,
code, whatever.
hypocrisy.
It's hypocrisy. Yeah. So it's
It's
all about
breaking the
aligning.
rule.
Yeah.
Break the rule, man. Break the rule. When it no longer serves you any longer, break the rule. Here's a munchable: choice. Choice. Choice means break the rule. Step into that new untapped and that untraceable you. Watch this. Listen to what this means. If I step into that new untapped, untraceable me, that means everybody I gave power to, I took it back. And because I took that power back from them, they don't know where I'm at. They can't find me. They can't connect to me because I've removed that connection. I've removed that supernatural umbilical cord. I've taken back the control they had over me, the opinions, the validation regions that they built around me because I gave them permission. I took it back. So I broke the rule. I was supposed to stay there so they can commiserate and feel bad and make me feel worse in their world. So I got untrapped. And now I'm in that untapped, untraceable me. And being in that untapped, untraceable me, they can't figure who I am anymore. They don't know how to oppress me, how to attack me, and how to bring me back down so they can control me. This is what is a part of your greatness. And this is a part of the legacy you're going to leave if you have children to your children. I got untrapped, I got untapped, and I got untraceable. So I was able to move forward and accomplish things that the same people that are allowed to have power over my life thought I would never do. I'm here at my age, and I was told as a child, you never live to be 24. You're going to end up in jail. You're going to end up dead. All these things that everybody was saying about my life. And I'm like, that's not my life. I'm not doing that. You're going to be dumb and stupid and all this kind of stuff like that. I graduated in the top 2% of all my classes. Could it have been the top 1%, but I played sports all the time. No excuses. What I got was what I wanted. I'm not going to allow myself to be ruled by that kind of stuff. And so that put me in a place sometimes called unruly. And because I didn't want to be controlled by that kind of mindset anymore. Let me say this right here. You got to get, at some point in time, you got to be ready to partner with the stars, baby. And what I mean by that is I ain't talking about nothing spooky. I'm talking about something elevating. I'm talking about when you're ready to partner with the stars, you're no longer thinking about being earthbound and just doing what everybody else, the common group, does. You're not thinking about being a part of the herd. You realize that God's given you something, a unique, wonderful, marvelous gift on the inside of you, and you're ready for that to start to emerge. You're not doing that because you want to be in control of somebody else. I don't know if you do or not, but I don't. I just want to be able to be what God has intended me to be. And that means I have to move up and not be contained or trapped by the earthly stuff, the stuff that wants me to just always spend my money on stuff. the stuff that makes me want to always do what everybody else is doing, binge watch television, get locked up in nightclubs and all that kind of stuff. I don't want that stuff. Listen, I ain't judging nobody. I'm just telling you, I don't want that stuff. I want to actualize. I want to release thought, action, speech, cause intentionality, cause purposeful living, impact the world, change the world, one person, one family at a time. And that's my mantra, my goal. And I have to shift and change and grow and mature and let my thoughts become freedom fighters so that I can help people get into that place. Here's a multiple of truth. Commitment to higher standards of your truth and actions is the start of many achievements. I'll say that again. Commitment to higher standards of your truth and actions is the start of many achievements. George, before I drop on these multiple standards, man, light this thing up, baby. Put some heat on this. Put some heat on it.
Yeah, I love this because you mentioned like going out, going to the nightclubs, going and doing that. And, you know, a lot of people, I would say 90% of people do that at the expense of their dream, do that at the expense of achieving higher results in their lives. And I say that because it happens on multiple levels. Not only are you out late, giving your energy away, I'm really big, this, Robbie, but anyone listening, I'm really big on health and wellness and being in tune with the natural rhythms of the day. And I think there's something very spiritual about that. I think there's something spiritual about being in a natural environment that God created, the original creation. I think we were meant to be, out in the wilderness, naked, roaming the garden. I think there's a
hold it, dude. You just talking about you running out there streaking. You out there streaking. George, you out there streaking, baby. I'm messing with you, man. Go ahead, do your thing.
I know. But I think that like our original design was to do that. And, before I guess the fall and other things like that became weird to us, like being naked was normal in original creation, and outside in the sun, in natural environments, like whether it's on the beach or in the garden or in the woods or like whatever, like that's just what it was. And it's funny to think about now, but like that's very anti what we do now. Now we're inside, we have indoor lighting, we're up at night when we really weren't up at night before, and that sort of thing. So like in relating to the collective approach and relating to making higher decisions, achieving that higher self, I think there's a biological rhythm that we can, on a molecular level, vibrate higher, have a higher consciousness, our healthier choices physically, relate to healthier thoughts, relate to healthier goals, relate to a higher mindset and more positivity. Like I think all that is so crucial in achieving your goals. So you're going directly against the original design, in my opinion. Like I'm not judging people, but like in my opinion, I'm going to use everything I can use to help me achieve my goals. So if 100%. Going out at night and drinking alcohol is something I have to give up, then I'm going to do that if I feel like it's going to help me achieve my goals and get to where I want to go. And then where alcohol comes into play, a lot of people justify that as like a dead food. It's something that brings your molecular consciousness vibration down. They call it a spirit because it's like it's bringing you lower. It's like killing your spiritual body. So a lot of people are familiar with that concept, but I think it holds some truth. I'm not gonna like sit here and pretend I'm an expert about it, just based on the way alcohol feels to me when I drink it the next day, the next 2, 3, 4 days. Based on what I've seen people say about how long it takes to remove alcohol from your system, it's just, those are the things that I take into account. And I think that that line of thinking in every category of life is something that's necessary and crucial for finding success and achieving that next level of results, achieving the Savage Will mindset, achieving the Savage Will work ethic, achieving greatness in whatever dynamic or relationship or business category that you want. And then just to wrap up the point is your choices can either free you or they can enslave you. And that's it. that's it. You know, that's what we have. That's the objective. I didn't write the code. I'm just the messenger. And, you know, I don't always love it because, you know, everyone makes choices sometimes that they're not necessarily proud of or they don't necessarily want to align with. It's all about minimizing the negative, amplifying the positive, making room for that, and growing in our process to do that.
But dude, we gotta come up with standards, right? A standard is by definition is a type of achievement which where we all strive to attain what we're actually seeking to do. So we need to create standards, right? So a munchable standard right here is I encourage you to establish your hustle diary and library. Establish your hustle diary and library, right? And this is where you chronicle your truth. And it begins to manifest as a type of reality because of your hustle library, right? The things that you put in your library, that quote of every day that you log or that's logged in and then you then write out the outcome of it. That's part of this standard. So my hustle library, I'll invite you in for a hot minute on some of them. In my hustle library, I say, I make them feel you. Put your work in. Pay the man, get paid, grind, no limits, no fear, no retreats, no quit, never ever give up. Have faith in God. I can do all things through Christ. Nothing shall be impossible to those that believe. I make all things possible. Why not me? Make them feel you. Prove them wrong. I can, so I will. I am he. Savage Will, 11, 11, 11. Do it, believe it, own it, see it, receive it, go get it. These are pieces that are in my Savage Will diary and library, man. This is stuff that I look at and I chronicle things that occur as a result of these statements, as a result of these changes in positions, as George was talking about, as a result of me going to a higher frequency to get other data points that I can bring to where I'm at right now, or they can bring me up to where they are, those luminaries. I get to those luminaries and I let them go ahead and teach me. I learn from those things, those ideas, those concepts, right? And then I enter into no eye has seen and no ears heard about this greatness that the Lord has ready for me. So I begin to speak things that don't exist right now. I speak them as though they were existing. I operate as though they're existing. And they're waiting to catch up. I'm waiting to catch up to them so that life can start manifesting. Eyes, listen, here's a quote, man. It's so cool. It's been said, eyes that look are common, but eyes that see are rare. Sight is a function of the eyes, but vision is the function of the heart. There's no greater source of confidence than that of vision. Vision is the key to unity, the magnet of commitment, and the motivational stimulus for personal and corporate discipline. The late, great Dr. Miles Monroe, had the privilege of meeting him at From the Heart Ministries years ago and our men's fellowship. He sat with the late, great Dr. Cherry, John A. Cherry. And I got a chance to meet him before he put his book out about vision. Man, this is part of our standard. We have to be able to write the vision. And you don't have to know all the pieces and components of the vision when you write it down. If you start off, I want to be a millionaire, to know what your why is, why you want to be a millionaire, right? And what's your concept? How are you going to start tracking to become a millionaire? I'm going to keep more than I spend. I'm going to start saving 10%, tithe 10%. Right? I'm going to pay off all my debt, starting with the smallest, then work to the greatest, but keep in step with the greatest so that I'm not late. I'm then going to take and leverage the money that I'm saving and the money that I'm repurposing from having paid off debt. And I'm going to put it into an action plan so I can leverage myself into investments that's going to give me X yield. And that X yield is going to position me to start earning disproportionately greater than a savings account, so that in time, and I can start tracking that time based on the results of other people who have done things like this, that I should be at X, close enough to 1 million at Y time. And when I get close enough to 1 million, that is a great time for me to understand now it's time for me to go to the next goal, or I've already written the next goal. I've already put the achievement standards around them. I've already seen the vision. In the vision, I've seen it happening. I've seen it done. The book I'm getting ready to release, I seen that book done. This podcast that we're doing right now, I saw this podcast, this transformation in my body. I've seen this transformation. I've lost 28 pounds. Hey, my cousin is watching this right now. I've lost 28 pounds since we had the family reunion in August. I got another 15 I'm about to drop. Why? Because I see it and I believe it, and I put things in play to make that make this thing happen. Now watch this. I want to give you a couple more things. George, I want you to get some heat on this. See, I bring George in because I want George to give me a little heat, baby. Watch this. See your words. You have to see your words. Use your words and log your results. 3 statements. See your words. 3 words. See your words. 3 statements. Here's the second one. Use your words. 3 words. Here's the third statement. 3 words. Log your results. The complement of your existence is the fulfillment of your truth. Your truth is the confidence that your life and work has meaning. Validate yourself. Stop looking for the validation of other people. Let them wake up and see what your life is, what it has become. Validate yourself because you saw your words, because you used your words, and because you logged your results. Now you can say against anything that anybody else says, I did this. I can do all things. Now you start to build confidence. Now you become assured of. Now the transformation starts happening in your heart. Now you don't condemn yourself or your thoughts or your actions or your speech. Neither will you allow yourself to become heady, high-minded, and prideful like you got all the answers. No, you don't have all the answers. You saw your words. You used your words. You logged your results. And you saw that your action plan for this goal worked. Then you may need to make some adjustments to go to a higher frequency so the luminaries of words that are not just fossilized, but their action, they can take you to a higher place. You may have to go and find more so that you can get to the next place in you, right? And because the other part of you has already been served. You've already served and you've already achieved based on that model and that plan. Now you're going higher and higher and higher. Some people say, I just want to be right here. That's your choice. But if you keep going higher and higher and higher, you make bigger and bigger impacts. And it has nothing to do with your chronological age. It has to do with where you want to be and what legacy you want to leave for your kids. George, you better bring some heat, baby. Bring me some heat, man.
Yeah. I think it's really important to hit on words. Words are so important. Sometimes we can't always control our thoughts. We can work to, we can strive to, we can make effort to control our thoughts and control our thought patterns. Sometimes things happen and our thoughts kind of run awry, but like our words, we have a much better control over. And I think especially nowadays in the younger, high school, middle school, like and below up to college, there's just some phrases that become prevalent. And I don't know that people really understand what they're doing when they say things like, I'm dead or I'm weak. Those responses to like funny things, are great. It's funny. It's a way to express how funny something is, I guess. But like, there's a part of you that doesn't understand context. So like saying those things has an effect on your psychology. They made studies about the subconscious mind and those sorts of things. So we want to do everything we can as savage will thinkers and doers and achievers to use our words, our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions to amplify and position us to be in a position and opportunity to succeed in life, to meet the people we need to elevate, to have the emotional competence to elevate as well. So like some of those habitual things are really important. And I just saw a little spiel on, relationships and team building and things like that is like, don't be attracted to someone's potential, be attracted to their habit, be attracted to their routine, be attracted to the things they do on a consistent basis. It's great to see potential. It's great to see people like having great potential, but ultimately the things that are going to operate and make success for your relationship with that person, whether that's romantic, whether that's business, whether that's a friendship, a mentor, whatever, it's not the potential that they have to be great that's gonna like help you. It's the routine that they've built in that makes them great. It's the daily grind that makes them great. Because we all have potential to have great things in life. We all have potential to achieve greatness. We all have potential to do things that would blow our imagination out of the water. We all have these things, but it's like our routine, our discipline, our choices that we make, those are the things that are going to get us there. And how we think, how we speak, the actions we take are all tools we use to create that routine and discipline to help us get to where we want and need to go. So your words, just like your choices, are either giving you life and giving others life, or leading you to death and destruction and leading others to death and destruction. And I think there are some forces at work that just influence like younger generations to have these unconscious like routines that are somehow popular in culture. Like pop culture is something that is pop culture for a reason. It's not for the individuals. Like you tell your sons, Robbie, that like don't follow the herd, create the
Don't
herd,
follow
or
the crowd. Don't follow the crowd, create the crowd.
Exactly. So that's just another way or another nuance that you can set yourself apart. And sometimes the crowd won't like you for it, but it's all the while worth it. It's okay. It's the battle we choose, and it's the battle we have to face if we want to elevate and step out.
Build a garrison around your choice, a garrison of your thoughts, right? I want to tap on something, George. You said we can't always control our thoughts. And it's true to an extent, but the way we control our thoughts is how we use our words, right? So when we see our words and we begin to start using our words, then we begin to start controlling our thoughts. Because when an invader comes into your thought life, you're like, no, you don't belong here. I can do all things, right? I've already done this. I've already done that. And you say, well, why should I have a conversation like that with myself? Because I'm reminding myself of the results that I've already achieved from seeing my words, using my words, and logging my results. That's why I gave those 3 principles. See your words, number 1, use your words, number 2, and number 3, log your results. So when an invading thought comes in, and you're responsible for every thought that comes into your mind, because it can produce an action, it can produce an emotion, it can produce a journey that you either want to take or you're going to take involuntarily that can mess your life up. That's why you want to have those 3 principles in play. So when the invading thought comes in, you can bring that thought subject. In the scriptures, 2 Corinthians 10, 3-5, it says, bring every thought and action subject to the word of God. That's what that means. In other words, with me having a renewed mind, let this mind be in you that was in Christ, and having this renewed mind that we've spoken about in the book of Romans, that means that my thought life, I'm responsible for controlling. So control your thoughts. You got to see your words. You got to use your words. You got to log your results. And watch this. George, you said some really, really powerful things. Be attractive to someone's winning habits, not their potential. The grind, the routine. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. The use of the tongue without knowledge is irresponsible. So you've got to build a garrison of thoughts, action, speech around what you're doing. Those thoughts may come in the middle of the day. I've got a little notepad and I get thoughts in different times of the day, and I just write those thoughts out. So watch this. I'm gonna give you some practical examples. These thoughts, I call them standards that you can set. Here's some practical examples of it. Wealth. Save up for your child's college fund within 6 years. Save up for your life transformation within 6 years. Why? Because the Lord said, be fruitful. So that's a plan. And now the model is I've got to find how to, 1, be confident enough to save 10% of what I make. 2, be confident of tithing 10% of what I make. 3, get rid of all the debt bombs in my life. Start with the smallest. Keep actively paying for the higher ones until all the small ones are gone, and you just knock out the higher one and you repurpose all of your savings into your investments. Relationship number 2, spend time with people you love, but also with people that have the grind, that have the habits, that have the routine that you're looking to understand, right? That causes you to multiply, as the scripture says. That causes you to develop a plan more effectively. Now you get to manage who you are, what you think. learning and growth. That's the third principle. Look, read at least 30 books a year. 30 books a year. You can get it done just off of 15 minutes every night in one book, right? So you'll get hungry. You might want to read 4 or 5 books, but you can do 30 books every year. So that's called increase. That's how you execute on your model. You'll find mentors that are doing the same thing. The books themselves will become mentors to you. Then you got health. Limit your cheat meals to once a week. That's subduing. When you subdue, you're duplicating a model of success. You're motivated because of the results that come. You start realizing when I subdue my eating habits, which are directly attached to my emotions, which have direct impact on my physical body's ability to function and direct impact on my ability to think and lead my thought life. Wait a minute. By me subduing it, by me possibly doing intermittent fasting, I can get myself together on a whole different level. Hang on one second, George. And then social. Maintain a zero drama policy. Social part of your being, your intellect, your emotional man. Listen, that effort, man, maintain a zero impact policy. That's when you take dominion, you replicate, and you begin to manifest into who you want to be. And the last point right here that I want to give you for practical side of standards: play. Learn how to laugh, love, listen, learn, leverage, create a lifestyle of living around it so you can start living again. Let go and have faith in God, and then arise. George, heat them up.
Yeah, that whole process you just mentioned of the cheat meal, knowing what foods affect you, and like that awareness of like, hey, I feel better when I eat this. I feel like my thoughts are better when I'm in control of my diet. The food I eat has a direct correlation between my energy, the thoughts, the way I feel, all that. Most people don't have an awareness of that process until they start to eat healthier foods, and they're like, man, I've been feeling like absolute dog crap my entire life, or like the past 5 years, or whatever it is. And until you like start gaining like the quickest way, in my opinion, to achieve like higher realms of thought, higher consciousness, like start to become like a higher version, better version of yourself, is to control what goes in your mouth. Because
yes,
fasting is so important to me in developing success habits. You're literally going against the grain. You're telling your body no when it wants to say yes, and you're disciplining your mind to say, like, to go along with it. And everything in you wants to eat, but you're saying no. So it's sometimes we have to tell ourselves no when everything in us is saying yes, or vice versa. Sometimes we have to say yes when everything in us is saying no, don't do that, because we have to let logic, steer our emotions. Our emotions are vastly stronger than our logical brain, our
100%.
heart. So, but we have to have that brain as like the rudder on the back of the ship. Is, in the Bible, they describe the tongue as the rudder, and it can lead you to death or it can lead you to life. But in some ways, logic is the rudder to our emotions, and when we can pinpoint our emotions, we can, acknowledge them and use them and have like our logical mind steer them and pinpoint it towards a goal. That's when I think we become dangerous in a good way, at really attacking and going after our goals. And, in that way, it's really important. The best way in my mind to really gain an understanding of like where you are, your thoughts, that whole awareness process, is by influencing what goes into your mouth, and by eating and by drinking enough water and taking care of your physical body is just makes room for spiritual truth to enter.
Dude, this is my 50-ounce joint right here, right? You probably seeing me knocking this dude down. I try to do 4 of these a day. I usually fall asleep on my 4th one. But that hydration is everything, because it's necessary for your brain, it's necessary for your body, everything. So you're hitting on something that's really cool. What is an achievement-oriented person? This is why it's cool right here, because achievement orientation is an emotional and a social intelligence leadership competency. This is something we must do. This is something we take action on. And we create a standard of excellence. We create a performance model. We create things that can be better in our lives off of this alone. And so this is why that's important. This is where you model, mentor, manage, motivate, manifest, and then money starts coming to you because you're organized, right? And that organization model happens at every level of your life. You gain proper understanding of how people with means, money, power, influence operate, and how they adapt, how they align themselves, how they adjust themselves, how they associate, what they allow in their lives so that they can achieve. You make sure you get those cues from those people that are winning like that. And then you become flexible enough that you start planning your vision around what you do and what you want around some of those cues of success. That's the purpose of the cue. If you can follow some of these cues will lead you to this kind of result. You just have to taper it to what you're wishing to do. That's why I put in there this the wealth, the relationships, the learning and growing, the health, the social, and the play. Those pieces right there, they are things that should be in your life, right? But the Lord said, be fruitful, multiply, increase, subdue, and take dominion. That's why there are corresponding actions, there are corresponding standards that are going to lead to excellence no matter what you do. That helps you plan, develop, execute, duplicate, and replicate. That's where that comes from. That's where those principles happen. And then I get to play. Like in creation, he rested. After he did everything in 6 days, he rested. He hydrated. He rejuvenated. He just allowed for himself to relax, right? We can put too much on our plate sometimes and we never relax. We never let go. And therefore, because of the emotional strain and because we're not hydrating and eating properly, because we created a stress bubble for our lives, we can't get what we want. So that's why we bring in this savage understanding so that we can have a balance about what we're doing, where we're going, how we're going to achieve it. And it's a model. It's a plan. Doesn't have, listen, you don't have to take it all. That's not what we're here for. We're not telling you to take it all. Like when I talk to people throughout the course of the day, I just want to give you some ideas and I want to give you some strategies. And I put this caveat with it. I said, you don't have to take and do what I'm telling you. If you listen and the genius you already are, it's going to spark something better to come of it. I want you to have the better. So the only reason for me sharing this is because the greatness is in you, because you're motivated by this. This is your plan for your life. I'm just going to give you an idea or strategy that has won for other people. But when you team it up with what you haven't told me, according to what you really want to do, it's going to produce something greater. Here's the last munchable for you. Don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. There will come a time in the law of power. You have to reinvent yourself with a powerful new image that stands out and draws attention rather than let others define you. You have to change your appearance, your emotions, your situational awareness, and your places of greeting and meeting. You gotta roll back and repeal all kinds of dramas that you've been heretofore used to. You gotta let all that stuff go, and you gotta take control and authority over reinventing and re-engineering yourself, so that you can accomplish the things that you really want to be. And it's okay if you change you. Please get comfortable with that, because you may have grown up out of something you've been doing and trying to accomplish to please someone else. Or your modus operandi might be, I'm going to have my parents now happy with me because I'm doing this. I just accomplished that. Now they're finally going to say, you're pretty smart. I knew you could do it. And then you feel good. Wait a minute. When I reinvent, when I reinvest, when I re-engineer me, it's for me. And I've broken the power of anything and everything off of me. I see my words. I use my words. I log my results. I'm doing me uniquely, brilliantly, marvelously, elegantly, successful me. And just to break those chains alone, that's success. Success is not always modeled in money. Mm-hmm. Some people will never have millions, billions, and trillions. That doesn't mean you weren't successful. But to break out of whoever's enslavement so you can be uniquely and marvelously you and put an idea or strategy in somebody's head that can make them amazing, that's winning. That's winning. George, you got to take us home, baby. We're right there, man.
I love that. So many great points. I just want to end with this one quote. I bring up Will Smith a lot, and I think people are amazing in every single way. And just because people make mistakes, I'd preface, you don't discredit everything they say. I might not take Will Smith's relationship advice, but in terms of success, he's one of the greatest, in my opinion. He says, there's a redemptive power that making a choice has, rather than feeling like you're in effect to all the things that are happening to you. Make a choice. Just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, and how you're going to do it. Just to make that decision. And from that point, the universe will get out of your way.
Choice is the power of life.
Yeah, it's the beauty, it's the frustration, it's all of it. But we're going to close on that point today. If you're listening with us, go ahead and drop a comment. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. Tell us what you want to hear more of. Tell us where you're hearing or you're listening from. We're going to be live here 11/11 next week on Saturday. Please like and subscribe. Share this with 3 friends if you thought it was fruitful, and go out there and be a savage will thinker and doer.
Do it, baby. Thank you all for joining in Facebook land. Thank everybody else for joining. Thank you, guys. George, you're amazing, man. Love it, man. Love it.